Hi, folks. So, me and my colleague Darren have started a new podcast called Movement Medicine Back to the Basics. In this lockdown period across the world, London, UK experiencing it now, we in Delhi have had it for a few days now. And how do you stay in that house of yours, lockdown as they're calling it, courtesy coronavirus? And how do you stay as active, as fit as you can? Okay, so what we'll obviously, as the name says, movement medicine. Between the two of us, we'll talk about physical activity and how to stay in top shape. But we'll also have panelists or guests coming on board from different specialities, if we can, across the world, and talking about general things you need to be aware of rather than panicking with the smallest of issues, and what to do at home with those things. Okay, so that's the intent. Today is only the introductory session. We'll talk about what the two of us do. So Darren, over to you. Just a little introduction about yourself, please.
Okay, thank you, Rajat. So my name is Dr. Darren Player. I'm an academic at University College London. So my research focuses on muscle physiology, so specifically muscle cell physiology and how muscles are affected in particular diseases, and also what kind of therapeutic strategies we can put in place to make sure that we can still stay active throughout our lives. So I initially studied sports science, and then I completed a PhD in muscle cellular and molecular physiology. I also completed my professional training in personal training and in exercise referral, so how we can actually use exercise to treat particular diseases and also prevent disease as well. So that's pretty much my background.
Brilliant. Thanks, Darren. My name is Rajat Chauhan, Dr. Rajat Chauhan. Before college or studies, I was a runner. As a 9-year-old, I was running around in Missouri, up and down the hills. So that's a very important part of the story. So I run. I've been at it for last, I don't know, a lot of years. Initially, the plan was to run professionally, half marathons, full marathons. Ended up going to a medical college because parents pushed me, middle class family, pushed me into medicine. But now I combine the two things, being physically active myself and having had that history of 3+ decades, 3.5 decades or so, of being active and pushing myself all the time. I put a race together, which the T-shirt that Darren's wearing is from that race that we do. That's a race we do in Ladakh. It's now a 555-kilometer race as much, and of 555, 333, so 333, 222, 111, and a 55-kilometer race in Ladakh. And people 10 years ago told us it's not possible. So I like pushing the boundaries, but at the same time, the intent of the talk today or the series that we're doing, what about the common man? How to get moving a little bit more, hence movement medicine. So after my MBBS, I've done sports medicine. I've done musculoskeletal medicine or osteopathy medicine from London, where it was interesting. In our batch, there were three medical postgraduate people who were there, being tutored by 17 other tutors who were there for us, and how to know about the body better, examine it better, listen to it better. So that's what my specialty, what I do. I deal with pain, back pain, knee pain being the two things I deal with quite a bit. Other things, as the term says, sports and exercise medicine. So for me, exercise becomes a very important part. You don't have to be a sports person to see me. So that's what I do, right? So Darren, what are our main tips? During this time, how to be active, sitting at home right now, no access to gym, probably no running allowed as well. I mean, in Delhi, you can't run. In India, you can't run outside. Maybe same applies for you right now. So what do we do at our homes? What should we be doing?
I think the most important thing is to reduce the amount of sitting time. So there's plenty of evidence now to suggest that sedentary lifestyle, so being physically inactive, really contributes to the onset and progression of lots of different diseases. So how can we just try and stay active within our home? I think first and foremost, avoid sitting as much as possible. So even if you are watching TV or if you're on the phone or something like that, just have a little bit of a walk around, try and build that very basic physical activity into aspects of your daily life. And then obviously we can start to look to more committed physical activity within the home. And there's different things that you can do within the boundaries of your four walls of your home to stay physically active in this period. So I think obviously you can just make sure that you're being very active throughout the day by setting an alarm, for example. So if you are having periods where you're sitting, set an alarm every half an hour, every hour, just to make sure that you are getting up and you're having a stroll around the house. And then throughout the day, you could be committing to various periods of exercise. So that could be more cardiovascular type exercise, where you could be doing things like walking, you could be doing skipping on the spot, you could be doing running on the spot, you could be doing a very basic circuit, or you could be doing more resistance type exercise. And I think both of those combined are going to be really important in this time to stay physically active and healthy.
And just to add to what Darren just said, of course, sitting is the biggest issue. I mean, we in sports medicine or sports and exercise medicine, we've been saying sitting is the new smoking. So it's as bad as that, if not worse. So please, every 30 minutes, every 40 minutes, get up. The one thing that you all soon will realize is, as much as you could have been a sedentary human being, but yet you were walking from home to maybe a metro or a tube, and maybe to the bus, maybe even if you were taking elevator to your office, yet you were walking a little bit. And now what's happening is we are in the confines of the four walls, and suddenly we're not moving around enough. So seriously, that 30-minute, 40 minutes getting up, go fetch your own water, don't get water, tea, coffee served on the table. Such simple things matter. And as much as you would think, we're calling it movement medicine for a good reason. Don't worry about how technically right the exercise is. We just want you to move. The idea is simply spend time being up and about, right? So that's crucial, please. Please just move, all right? Again, one thing I keep talking about is don't worry about where is that 1 hour of exercise alone. It doesn't matter if you don't do that or if you can't do that for whatever reason, because some of us are homeschooling as well as working from home at the same time right now. So it's become a bit more hectic than any of us bargained for. So it's more work rather than less right now. So you might not have that 1 hour to exercise in one go. So it's okay if you have like a 5 minutes here and a 3 minutes here kind of a thing. So Darren, over to you again. What exercises could you suggest they could be doing? So let's give them 3-4 things to do. We spoke about skipping the other day and a few other things. So let's just 3 or 4 things which they can easily do.
Okay, so for example, if you do have a skipping rope, something like that can be really, really helpful. There's obviously a lot of variations in skipping that you can do as well to keep yourself entertained in this period. If you don't have a skipping rope, though, that's not to say that you still can't do any kind of skipping type motion. So you can obviously do the very basic double leg jumping, just jumping from over a very small height. You could obviously alternate your legs. You could do one leg and just repeat that for a period of 20 to 30 seconds initially, and then just listen to your body to see how you feel. If you can cope with more, then cope with more. And then just increase the intensity and the duration of those intervals as you start to progress. For example, if you have stairs at your home, you could start doing some very simple stair climbs. But again, start very small. Make sure that your form, so how you're actually getting up each step, is correct every time. So making sure that you're really activating the muscles that are important when you are stair climbing. So for example, making sure that you're activating the quadriceps at the front of your leg and you're activating the gluteal muscles in the back of your buttocks, really squeezing those muscles through each step in each leg to make sure that you're getting the right form. And again, you could start very, very small, do a small amount of intervals, and then increase the intensity and the duration as you progress through the next 3 weeks. There are a couple of very basic things that you can do. In terms of resistance exercise, there's a lot of different exercises that you can do. I think the really important thing, particularly if you don't have that much time because you're committed to homeschooling or you have to care for other people or family members, then you want to try and get the most bang for your buck. So you want to be doing compound exercises where you're targeting a lot of muscle groups in one go. So for example, if you do only have 3 to 5 minutes, doing exercises like squats, lunges, you're going to be targeting a lot of key muscle groups, which are going to keep you physically active, keep you strong. And you're only going to be having to do a few repetitions initially to actually see a real effect. So that's probably what I would suggest. Try and do as many compound exercises as you can.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that, Darren did cover it, but just very, very important. Please, baby steps. So progression-wise, gradually build up. Uh, the the thing with exercise or movement is the very first day when you do it, it seems a lot easier, and or for some it'll be the other way around. For some it'll be very difficult to get started. But for people who it seems to be easier, like doing a heel raises or a skipping, do less. Don't start with too much right away. So maybe if you're doing skipping or just jumping off by an inch or so, maybe do it for 30 seconds maximum to a minute, really. You'll see it'll be very tiring. Even a minute is actually very tiring doing that. Don't do more than that because it'll cause aches and pains, which you didn't sign up for. And take a break for a minute or two, catch your breath, and restart again. Maybe do three such things, 30 seconds, three times over in one go. And then again, after 2 hours or so, you can repeat that again. So same would go for, I mean, my one of the favorite ones is like a squats and, like a chair squat, because all of us think we can't do it. Most of us think we can't do it. When you sit down, you've already squatted. And when you get up, you finish the whole squat. Just that you sat in between for too long. So the point is just sit down, touch the base and up again and do maybe 10 times maybe. And if it hurts, maybe do 2 times, but build up with this really. So for me, um, the exercise that I've been talking about right now are heel raises because you get your calves moving. Most people anyways have very tight calves and calves are not moving enough. So I would actually say do heel raises a little bit more before you do your skipping or jumping because your calves are getting to move a little bit. Squats, I just said, maybe 20 to 15 to 20 reps of both of them. And then orange squeeze to move your middle back kind of a thing. So three simple things from my side, okay? So I was just talking about the chronic diseases.
Yeah.
So for chronic disease patients, say diabetes or any of them, again, what other tips would you give them besides the basics that we've spoken about? What do they need to be mindful about during this period?
I think probably the most important thing is looking at daily routine. Because, for example, if an individual does have diabetes and they're used to being relatively physically active throughout the day, whether it just be, walking to the office or taking a flight of stairs or something like that, walking in between meetings, those type of activities, just by being in your home, you're going to be really reducing your amount of physical activity. So in terms of controlling your blood glucose, if you're not as physically active, and you might need to look at modifying your diet slightly, but obviously we would promote just being active throughout the day. Again, if you have conditions like osteoarthritis, and again, you're used to moving regularly, if you go to instantly being very sedentary and just sitting down for most of the day, you're going to be starting to feel a lot more of those aches and pains. And the more that you sit down, the more those pains will continue. So my advice would be don't let it get to that stage. Try and just be as physically active as early as possible and then maintain and build upon that. A lot of the musculoskeletal conditions can be alleviated very, very easily just with basic movement. So if you are suffering from those aches and pains, obviously do listen to your body, do a small amount to begin with, and then increase the intensity and duration as you feel comfortable. Obviously, we have to be very careful when it comes to certain chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, for example. Obviously, you should be consulting with your physician relating to any of the medications that you should be having. But in terms of a basic exercise prescription, everyone can be conducting basic movement. So whatever particular chronic disease you may have, just very basic movement isn't going to do you any harm. It can only help. So try and stay as active as possible, take some of the advice that we've given, and then just build the intensity slowly.
Brilliant. Any questions that you remember from the previous session that we did?
So there was one particular question about maintaining muscle mass. And I think,
yeah, which we didn't answer.
Yeah, I think obviously you have a number of people who might be interested in this. So you might have the individual who is a runner, for example, and they might be worried that if they lose muscle mass, that could affect their form, for example, that could affect their power, maybe even their endurance as well. We could have sort of the gym rats, so to speak. So those individuals who, are going to the gym just to build muscle. And then we might have those individuals who are worried about losing muscle mass if they have musculoskeletal conditions. I think the recommendation is true for all of those three populations. Keep moving. Make sure that your diet is on point so that you are consuming enough protein regularly throughout the day. And then do some of those compound exercises that I mentioned. By doing those compound exercises, you're going to be promoting the most amount of maintenance of muscle mass. And also as well, the intensity of the exercise. So obviously, if you're used to going to the gym, you might be using external load. So for example, a machine or a dumbbell or a barbell to increase the load during these exercises. But obviously muscles don't understand external load. They only understand intensity. So you can create that intensity within. So if you are doing a chair squat, for example, or you're doing a stair climb, or you're doing a lunge, you can really increase the intensity, squeeze that muscle as much as you can, and concentrate on what muscles are being activated in those movements. And by doing that, you're increasing contraction intensity and you'll maintain that muscle mass as best as you can.
So basic tips, for people who are sedentary, that please, couple of 2, 3 things really. One is, don't worry about the form too much. Just get moving. As long as you keep one thing in mind, if there's pain, you're doing it incorrectly. It's as simple as that. Even if the form is right, it's wrong for me, right? So please don't go to the painful range of motion. So if you can't do a particular range, it's okay, right? But form follows function. Just get moving. Soon enough, 10 days, 5 days, as you carry on doing it with some discipline, you'll see your form getting better. So that's very, very crucial, right? The other one is jerky movements. Almost always, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do jerky movements. Keep the movement slow, all right? So whether it be like a bicep curl or a bench press or squats, if you're keeping the movement slow, the chances of injuries are a lot lesser. Now, this applies to people who do not know enough about exercising, are new to it. People who are doing it, carry on, do what you do. But otherwise, I would just keep it as simple as that. Don't do any jerky movements, please, all right? And same principles again, gradually build it up, please, because that's where injuries happen. That's where mess ups happen. Okay. If you're confused about a complicated exercise, because, if people who follow yoga, for example, do the simpler asanas and don't worry about something like a Surya Namaskar. It's too complex an asana. And suddenly, because it being such a complex one, an injury is bound to happen in one part of it or so, right? Maybe 90% you're okay, but the 10% or the 5% when you do it wrong, you messed up everything. So the point is, keep it basic, keep it simple, okay? And just get started, just keep moving, please, okay? On a regular basis, discipline matters, right? Darren, anything to add to that?
I think just to add to the form and function point that you made, is that if you make sure the movement is nice and slow, not only are you helping with stabilization of the joint, but it also helps your sort of body to understand what muscles are actually contributing to the movement. So then you can start to apply a lot more tension to that muscle. And again, you're going to see a greater benefit from that. So do the movement nice and slow, feel which muscle is actually contributing to the movement, and then really make sure you're squeezing that muscle to increase the intensity.
Brilliant. What we'll do, Darren, is probably we'll just wind up for the day today, and then we'll have a guest tomorrow, whether it's both of us or one of us, doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think this is a good start. And just to sum up, guys, just get moving, please, because the biggest mistake we'll make is if we are just sitting and playing, wearing different hats of being a mom or a dad, carer maybe. We could be taking care of, the whole home education part, besides obviously working from home. Do not forget yourself, because it is very important. Be your best friend, move around, please. If you're not physically active yourself and fit, how can you take care of anyone else if they were to fall sick with whatever else? So I think that just that, please. So keep moving. That's crucial, please. All right, Darren?
Yeah, no, I completely echo that. That is the key message. Keep moving regularly. If you need reminders, set alarms on your phone, or ask any of your family members to just remind you, get up, keep moving, stay active.
All right, guys. So we'll catch you guys tomorrow. And for now, keep smiling and smiling and smiling.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks a lot, Rajat.